For years, the Skyrim community has treated the quest In My Time of Need as an open and shut case. We see Saadia pull a dagger on us, we listen to Kematu's calm voice, and we collectively decide that she's a traitor to her people. I admit, even I used to think the exact same thing. But when you step back and look at how this quest is actually written, you realize Kematu's story falls completely apart under the slightest bit of scrutiny. Now, if you're new here, I want to find out the truth, and that usually means examining both sides of the story. This week, I'm going to steel man the case that Saadia is innocent, and that her story adds up. If you disagree, give me at least another week, because next week I'm going to make another video, and I plan on doing the same thing for Kematu. And only then, the week after that, will I give you the objectively correct decision. But for now, let's look at 8 reasons Saadia is actually innocent, and you were completely tricked. Reason number 1. The timeline makes no sense. First and foremost, we have to contend with the obvious. Kematu and his thugs claim that they are chasing Saadia because she committed crimes against Tanith and brought about its downfall to the Thalmor.
She sold the city out to the Aldmeri Dominion. Were it not for her betrayal, Tanith could have held its ground in the war. The other noble houses discovered her betrayal, and she fled. They want her brought back alive.
But that doesn't really make sense, does it? Consider the timeline. The Great War ended 20 years ago, at which point the Red Guards began their own war to take back their country and signed their own treaty. It's the second treaty of Stros-Makai, 5 years later. According to Kematu, this means that he and his boys have been chasing Saadia for what? 15 years now? I mean, I guess you could argue that no one found out about her supposed treachery until recently. But then I have to ask, how? No, it looks like this law-abiding force of justice just can't seem to catch a girl who was already in their city. And keep in mind, if Saadia really was a Thalmor sympathizer, she definitely would have left the moment the Red Guards retook Tanith. Unless you are suggesting she just became a spy for the Thalmor for no reason in the city afterwards. So she really has been running for a decade and a half. How far did she make it in that time? Like half a province away? If I were to speculate all the ways this doesn't make sense, it would be the entire video. Maybe Saadia's story doesn't add up either, but all I'm saying is that Kematu's versions of events isn't much better, and that brings us to reason number 2. She did not run to the Thalmor. Let's say you ignore the timeline argument. You still believe Saadia is running from justice because she is definitely a Thalmor asset that the Red Guards want to bring to justice. Well, let's think for a minute. If you wanted to hide from the Thalmor, where would you go? Maybe you'd head to the imperial cities of Markarth. I mean, you would have to literally pass through Markarth to get anywhere in Skyrim. And Markarth is very corrupt. It also has a very visible garrison of the Thalmor inside of its court.
No, I'm not from Markarth. I was sent here to lead the Thalmor's interests in this corner of Skyrim.
A noblewoman would not only have an easy time bribing their way to safety, but she would also have allies in this city, since in addition to the actual Thalmor being there, the Jarl is imperial and would be forced to show at least some loyalty if the Thalmor told him to. But okay, maybe Markarth is too corrupt. Maybe you don't want to risk that. If only there was an even bigger city that you could blend into, or perhaps a place with lots of dense forests you could disappear in. Well, the next place you could reasonably go from Markarth, if you insist on going through Skyrim, is 3 options. You could head north to Solitude, the capital of the Empire in Skyrim, and where the Thalmor has 2 literal bases they use to imprison enemies and spy on their allies. Or you could head south and hang in Falkreath, another corrupt Imperial-controlled hold, and on the way down to Cyrodiil, where you could escape Skyrim altogether and join the Empire. If neither of those choices appeal to you, well, you do have the last choice. You could go east to Whiterun, the neutral hold that hasn't decided to support either side in the war. If Saadia was running from people who hated the Thalmor, wouldn't she run to a place where the Thalmor would be? Either head to Cyrodiil, or Solitude, or Markarth? If nothing else, she would be safe from the Alik'r there. I guarantee you the Empire would not take kindly to an incursion of hostile soldiers from Hammerfell, and the Thalmor would see it as an act of war. If she was a Thalmor agent, she would have gone somewhere the Red Guards chasing her could not follow. It's just common sense. They have enough problems trying to get into Whiterun. Genuinely, how do you ignore this point if you think she's guilty? According to Kematu, she had 15 years to get anywhere she wanted to go. And she went to the next neighborhood over, a place absolutely full of people she supposedly helped. And she doesn't ask them for help? You don't have any questions about this? Really? And speaking of the Alik'r, you have to consider reason number 3, the Alik'r act guilty. Remember when you go looking for a moth priest during the Dawnguard DLC? Remember how you would stop random people in the street and threaten to kidnap them if they didn't comply? Remember when the guards of the cities you entered threatened to put you in jail if you didn't stop asking questions? Remember when a member of your party actually does get arrested and held in jail because they broke the law to try and find the moth priest? Oh wait, none of that happens? You mean to tell me you're able to just calmly ask people for information nicely and they just tell you? Wow, that's crazy. I wonder why all of those things I described happened to the Alik'r then. Let's think of an example here. Quick question. If you're in the United States and a police officer is in uniform and asks for your information, what should you do? To be clear, this isn't legal advice. I am a certified dummy. But you do have the right to ask them to identify themselves, and while there isn't a law requiring them to do so, most police precincts require them to tell you who they are. If they're operating in an official capacity, they will usually be themselves and answer you, which usually means showing you their badge or telling you their badge number. If they don't, you could either not be in big trouble and be able to walk away, or else be in huge trouble and not be able to walk away. Now, let's return to our friends in Whiterun. Are they in uniform? No, this isn't official Alik'r garb. It's a fucking wrap. Nazir wears the same outfit and he's a Dark Brotherhood agent. If you ask them who they're working for, they literally just say,
The other noble houses discovered her betrayal, and she fled. They want her brought back alive. The resistance against the Dominion is alive and well in Hammerfell.
Do they have any paperwork from those families? Well, no. Do they have any extradition paperwork to pull a criminal back to their land? Also no. Do they have a retinue or maybe a military escort? No. Do they have badges or any other way to identify themselves? No. In fact, they actively go out of their way to hide their identities from you.
You have a death wish then? If you know that name, you must know to meet him would be to meet your end.
How strange. What they want you to believe is that they are taking a lawful action to get a criminal who is fleeing justice. But what you see is a bunch of thugs in a cave with no evidence of why they are doing what they're doing. They don't have a warrant or charges. They don't even have documents saying who they are. Do yourself a favor and don't fall for this. Oh, and in the eyes of the law, they don't just act guilty. Reason number 4, the Alik'r are guilty. Literally. Now, these official representatives of the city Tanith, acting in official government capacity, are so uncouth, so obviously not supposed to be around, that one of them even gets arrested for disobeying the guards. You can find one of these poor guys in prison, and he's a real window into who these guys really are. Consider that he gets purposefully left behind because he screwed up. I guess to teach him a lesson.
I have dishonored my brothers by being captured, and so they have left me here. My life with the Alik'r is over now, but I have no wish to die in this god's forsaken land. If I can be released from prison, I may start over.
Ask yourself, is this how government employees act? Even members of secret organizations like the FBI or the KGB don't leave each other behind when one of their members messes up. That's a good way to lose trade secrets. Consider that in this game, in the Dark Brotherhood, the leader who goes on to betray you still sends you backup when you go to pull off a public assassination. Yet, these guys leave their comrade behind as a punishment. This is some Dutch behavior, you know what I mean? So not only do we learn that Kematu does not have control over his men because they do whatever they want, showing they don't have a traditional authority structure, you know, like a government body would have, but they also have no love for each other. What's that saying? Something about honor and thieves? Oh, and also, there's the fact that it's obvious to everyone, including Whiterun guards, that these guys are up to no good. No one can know what they're actually doing, but we can know that they aren't being obvious about it, whatever it is. Maybe they're spies, right? If you want to give them the benefit of the doubt, feel free. But I think we can agree that these guys at least act like they're up to no good. Even if we don't see a lot, what we do see is very telling, because reason number 5, the Alik'r do not act like they should. Maybe you get lucky and you don't see this, but one of the ways to be introduced to this quest is not the guards demanding they identify themselves, but instead the Alik'r themselves harassing a random woman. I mean, look, it isn't lost on me that the plot where a random cop stops and harasses a woman on the street minding her own business is centered around a red guard, but let's actually focus on what we're seeing here. This is a kidnapping. They are about 5 seconds away from pulling this woman away from her family or job or whatever because she kinda looks how they expect her to look. And the only reason they don't is because she doesn't have a scar.
She doesn't have the scar. What? Oh, you're right. We've made a mistake. Now move along before that mouth of yours gets you into trouble.
Again, I know I said this in the last point, but ask yourself, is this how you expect men in the employ and official capacity of the royal houses to act? They just walk up to any female red guard you see and pull her off the street in a foreign land where they have no authority? Look, the point here is simple. I don't believe them. I get that Saadia also acts guilty, okay? I get it. But these guys do too. They're not written to be believable. They're hasty, they betray each other, they keep bad company around, and they clearly aren't being straight with you. I don't know how they're lying, or what they're lying about, but these are not the actions of honest men. And we haven't even looked at the greatest example of this, reason number 6, the company they keep. Let's say that you were Kematu. You unfortunately bungled your way so far, but let's pick up where we find him. You're unfortunately banned from the city because you acted like you were completely insane and harassed people instead of going to the Jarl and letting him know what you were doing. But still, according to Kematu, you are here on official business. Where do you stay? You could stay at the Sleeping Giant in Riverwood. That's not too far. I think the closest would probably be the inn at Rorikstead, you know, where you station 2 of your guys. Maybe you don't want to keep all your guys in the same spot, though, right? I mean, this is a manhunt. So maybe you act like a Khajiit. You set up tents along major crossroads and have your men pair up at each one. You already have pairs of guys walking around. This seems like the next logical step. But maybe that looks too guilty to you. No. If you want to get the local law on your side, I have an idea. Maybe you should go out into the hills and pay a local criminal gang to protect you while you squat in, let's say, a cave. See, now that's a good idea. This is what investigators do in a new town, right? Everyone knows that when an investigator means business and is acting as they should, when they hit a town, they immediately shack up with the local mafia. Who would dare question your authority after you pay a bandit clan to watch your back?
I'm not sure I like these Alik'r warriors hiding out here. They seem like trouble.
Keep it to yourself. You're not paying us to talk. They'll be gone as soon as they've found whoever they're looking for. And we'll have all the more corn.
Really, please ask yourself this. Why would they do this? Could it be because they're not used to dealing with the law enforcement, but are used to dealing with bandits? Why would they not feel comfortable in an inn, but they would feel comfortable in a cave surrounded by bandits? I have an idea. Maybe it's because they're not comfortable working within the confines of the law and are basically bandits themselves. Thieves of a feather and all that. The worst part is, if they had just done this right, they would have succeeded a long time ago, since reason number 7, any law-abiding citizen would have found Saadia in like 5 minutes. Again, I'm asking you to please imagine yourself in Kematu's shoes. According to his story, you are here on official business to bring a wanted criminal to justice. You track the criminal across 15 years to a town she shouldn't be in. You forgot your uniform and paperwork, but you have her cornered. You begin harassing any Red Guard woman you see. Where do you decide to live while you do all this? What's your base of operations? I mean, you have some money, right? You could easily rent a room for yourself. I mean, really, please just listen to me. Imagine if Kematu wasn't stomping around Whiterun like a complete psychopath. What would be the first thing you'd do if you were looking for Saadia? Well, you'd probably get yourself a room in the local inn. And maybe you'd go as far as to ask the local innkeeper if they know anyone who matches Saadia's description. Now think! Where would that lead you? Well, it would lead you to the Bannered Mare, wouldn't it? And where is Saadia a server? In the Bannered Mare! You're genuinely trying to tell me that this is your guy? You believe Kematu? This guy is so obviously lying, his lies don't even make sense anymore. If any of what he was telling you was true, this quest would be over in 5 minutes, and they wouldn't need your help. But at every turn of the story, Kematu's story gets called into question. He says they're here on royal business. Proof? He says they're professionals. Proof? They say that there's a warrant out for Saadia. Proof? I don't believe you. And there's still one more reason that should make you think twice. Reason number 8. Kematu gloats if you side with him. If you side with Kematu, do you remember what he says? After Saadia is captured, for some reason, he decides to give you some advice.
And as for you, I owe you a portion of the reward, don't I? Well, here you go. Spend it wisely, and if I may, don't allow yourself to be fooled by a pretty face. You're better than that.
Now let's think about why he says this. You didn't just side with Saadia, who could be considered traditionally attractive. Think about it. This would be like if you were on vacation and a hot girl tried to pickpocket you by acting like she was into you. And then you saw through it, and you didn't get robbed. And then for some reason your friend was like, "Yeah bro, don't fall for pretty faces, you're better than that." That makes no sense. Unless this isn't what he's talking about. No, the only way that this makes sense is if Kematu is gloating because he too has a pretty face. You just sided with him, not her. What's Saadia's defining feature? An ugly, recognizable scar that deforms her face. No, that doesn't make sense. Who's the attractive one in this case? Kematu. He knows that you believe him because he's hot. If this isn't what Bethesda meant by this, why did they make him so dummy thick? He knows you want him. He knows you can't resist him. And once he tricks you into siding with him for no reason at all, he gloats right in your face. This is the smoking gun for the entire case. And with that, I rest my case. At least, so far. I think the evidence is screaming at you not to believe these guys. But what do you think? Remember, I will get into the evidence against Saadia next week. And then after that, I will get into the official, lore-backed, official, Bethesda-approved answer. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe.
To help you remain tranquil in the face of almost certain death, smooth jazz will be deployed in 3, 2, 1.
Then form an investigative group and go into another country and say that you're going to bring a criminal to justice on behalf of your government. Offer no proof to anyone and name your group the Sistel Raven Rocks. It really helps with the channel. And until next time, I'll see you around.